Guess what? She's still bitter because I wouldn't let her do the lesbian talk thing for the past few episodes. Because nobody wants to hit a video and it's immediately making like a terrible noise.
It doesn't immediately make a terrible... Oh, that's an insult for the theme, isn't it?
No,
it immediately
like,
makes a terrible noise.
No, like the theme like ends and you're like, lesbian talk! And people are like, oh Jesus Christ, just panic and close the whole entire tab. Well, stop making a noise. Welcome to episode 120. That's as much as 10 dozens. And that's terrible. This is why I married you. Like, in preparation for moments like that. So how have you been, Internet? All 7 of our fans. Since the last episode.
I guess we're talking about you.
Greg.
Yeah.
I don't know
what you did.
I don't know. If you're Greg, write the show. But it's been a pretty epic week because of everything that's been coming out of San Diego Comic-Con. Even the stuff that's not important. Everyone's like, you know what happened at San Diego Comic-Con? Like, I mean, and there's like a million things that come out of something as huge as this. Like, everyone's seen the video of the wee little Wonder Woman cosplayer meeting Gal Gadot. It's too bad that I actually can't hear what cute conversation is going on because the background noise is so loud. Independently mic your cute moments, guys. And all the new
the trailers
pop finals.
And stuff.
Yeah.
And the new Justice League. It's a step in the right direction in that it's not, grimdark Rarg, and they're really leaning into Joss Whedon, but it is looking like a crap version of the Avengers.
Well, here's the thing. I work with a guy named Johnny who's a really big DC fan, and as such gets really disappointed by a lot of their offerings. We were talking about the other day, and he said to me, I was over to Mate's house, I saw it there, we watched it, and I was like, kept whispering, it was 4 minutes, and I kept whispering every few seconds, shite. It's shite. Shite. And I thought that was pretty funny. But yeah, because we had to have a whole discussion about it at work, because my supervisor, the Geek one, he's very into DC. Less so Marvel, but quite into DC. He's like, well, no.
But we did get to see the other big sort of thing, which now every couple of days in the period after Comic-Con, I would every so often go on YouTube and look up Infinity War trailer. Because, 99% of the videos that go up there are people trolling. And it's always the same obvious jokes for trolling. Mm-hmm. But one thing I have worked out and demonstrated to myself over the years is that once in a while you get the actual thing.
You get solid gold, my friends.
And, it's so badly filmed you can hardly call it solid gold. But I did come across it.
Yeah, but we reaped gold, as in you were looking for the thing and you found it.
Yeah. But the first step, the first sign that there is a copy of the trailer floating out there and someone's trying to get it up, is that when you come across multiple videos which are like, Disney has claimed this, and then someone's trying it. And then you gotta keep searching for it in the hope to grab it and to get it loaded before Disney block it.
Can you beat the bots?
And we did.
Oh, and it was glorious. Like, it's terrible because we saw them both. I think it was on the same day, wasn't it?
Yeah, nearly back to back.
And it was just such a diametric opposition between the two of them. And don't get me wrong, I'm not a DC hater because you guys know me. If you've been listening to the show for a while, I'm not a true comic fan. I've never claimed to be a comic nerd or geek. I'm totally a fake comic nerd. Because I wasn't into it when I was a kid, because until I was in high school, there wasn't a local comic shop. It was not an interest that my parents supported. I think I ended up with, I don't know how, I think it was like at the library used book sale. I ended up with about 5 or 6 issues of Disney's Donald Duck Adventures.
Those are probably worth like $1 billion now.
It was the 80s. Not like original ones, like ones from like 1989. Like
$1 billion.
No. And then a random one that I figured out like years ago was a Justice League comic that involved Darkseid, but I can't...
Darkseid.
Whatever. Well, it was spelled weird. There was an I involved.
It's everything to do with Darkseid and his little train minions are spelled weird, but that's the Darkseid.
And I remember what happened in this issue. And I've asked Linkara, and he's like, that could be, this is my Lewis impression, that could be pretty much any Justice League comic. I was like, yeah, you're probably right. So I really didn't have a basing in it, but I really enjoyed the 80s Batman movies.
There was only one of them made in the 80s.
Was the second one 90 or 91?
91.
Okay, well.
89, 91.
I consider... No, because here's the thing. The decade can't really begin at least until 2 or 3 years in. Because you always have that residual.
That's not how decades work.
No, but like culture works that way, though.
Yeah, but you're still talking about, you were giving it a time
that
period.
era of late 80s, early 90s.
You were giving a time period, which unfortunately is exact.
Well, you know the ones.
The Tim
first
Burton
one,
ones.
Yeah, the first one and the one with the penguin. And although I did like the first one, better. And I really love Batman the Animated Series. Really, to the point where, Tim Conway, is that his name?
Ken Conway.
Kevin Conway. He's my only Batman voice ever.
Michael Keaton.
Yeah, but I have more of a history of Conway.
Like Michael Keaton.
And also David Warner as Ra's al Ghul. Yeah. Hello, detective, it's me.
Michael Keaton codified how to play...
The entirety of Lesbian Talk audience is sick of my David Warner impersonation.
Michael Keaton was the third live-action Batman. Third official live-action Batman.
Aye.
But he was the first one... He codified what the character is on screen, whether in animated or live-action now. In that he's the first guy to come with the idea of using completely different voices for Bruce Wayne and for Batman. He was the first one to do it seriously in a long fucking time. It basically, in the same way that Patrick Troughton redefined the character of the Doctor, and willingly or not, every other guy since then is doing stuff thanks to Patrick Troughton.
Mm-hmm.
Michael Keaton redefined Batman on screen.
And if you haven't, do yourself a favor, go watch Birdman. You'll probably be into it. You might not. It was almost a teeny bit too artsy for me, but it worked because you knew that he was Batman, and it worked on 15 meta levels.
Yeah.
It also made me really glad that I don't live in New York.
And the Avatar Teasing Humor watched that with us, and she thought it was actually going to be a superhero film called Birdman.
It was fantastic.
And the ending of that film, the original ending, was brilliant. It was either going to be...
Spoilers?
Well, this ending was not done.
Okay.
This was not filmed at all. Because it starts off with Michael Keaton sort of being, as Birdman, being depressed and sort of talking to himself in his dressing room. And they were going to end it with Michael Keaton's character has gone off to become famous again, and someone else has sort of ruined his career. And it was either going to be Hugh Jackman or Johnny Depp. Mm-hmm. And they were going to be being listened to, having the same monologue with the fictional character they played, Wolverine or Jack Sparrow.
Actually, that would have been really cool.
And but they couldn't get...
Even better if it was Hugh Jackman, because then didn't he play Wolverine one more time in Logan?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So they
appropriate.
I believe they couldn't get any of the guys they really wanted to do that bit, and so they dropped it, and they completely changed the ending.
But it's still really good, and it wasn't done as a single shot, but they used a lot of really great camera tricks to make it look like they did.
Yeah, but the camera tricks were also pretty obvious about where they made the cuts.
Yes, but you have a degree in TV tech. Film and TV tech.
This is true.
So I didn't, and I couldn't tell. So
as a professional, someone who's technically got a scientific qualification in this thing, if I'm going to talk about films that are shot as one thing, I prefer the ones that are actually shot like that, like Time Code or Russian Ark.
Or that one really long scene in Atonement, which I think I maintain. Atonement was okay as a movie. I really maintain they should have won an Oscar in cinematography just for that scene, because that was amazing. If you don't feel like watching the whole entire Atonement, Google Atonement beach scene Dunkirk, and it's really great. It's like a 5-minute unbroken shot, and it's amazing.
Well, Russian Ark is ooh, one scene, that's quaint.
I haven't seen Russian. I have
Russian Ark's amazing. It's okay. I was at a film festival. I was one of the judges for the short films thing, so I got free.
You're famous.
Yeah, I was. Actually, at this point, it was because I was at the local tech studying film tech, and the local film festival said, "Send some of your students to be judges, people that you think are good." And so I got the job. I got it 2 years.
You should do film reviews for the Dairy Journal.
Well, they wouldn't pay me.
No,
but anyway. Because of this, okay, I was in town, I'd seen one film, can't remember what it was, and then I had about 2 hours until either I get a taxi home or I get a lift in 2 hours. So I was like, I have free cinema tickets, so I'm going to see this film, Russian Ark, on a whim. And
Is it the Brunswick?
No, it wasn't there yet.
I was going to say, because you
It wasn't a cinema then, it was just the bowling alley. But, so I went into the cinema, watched this film, Russian Ark, and it is 90 fucking minutes. One take, going through the Hermitage Museum, and each room is a different period of Russian history. You've got concerts, you've got dramatic scenes, you've got love scenes, you've got action scenes, all done in one go. and I believe it's from like the 4th take they got it. There are hundreds of people involved. It's a fucking amazing work of technology.
I have it on DVD. I'll watch it eventually.
You should.
Yeah.
You know, Kyle should review it. Kyle should review it as a single, you know, Kyle Calgren, Owen Citizen, should review it as a single take. That would be so funny.
It'll be really difficult, though, to cut back and forth to...
That's why you've got yourself in the corner.
I'll have it in a split screen, kind of?
Yeah.
Okay.
So it's like, I know you listen to this, Kyle. He doesn't actually listen to this.
He doesn't, though.
Tweet at him. Review Russian Ark as a single take.
It would be so gimmicky and awesome. And so highbrow, too.
He already did Haxon as a silent film.
That's
silent
true.
review, and he sang when he fell to earth.
Do you guys want to know that, so, when I graduated... They, I thought they would just, in America, the graduation song is Pomp and Circumstance. Well, they use different ones in the UK. And
Because Pomp and Circumstance is called Land of Hope and Glory, and it's a military anthem here.
Well, we process militarily in America. We do everything militarily. But so they actually had a wee little brass ensemble, and we stood up, because all the stuff, I thought it would just be piped in music, but like, from right next to us and above us, this music was happening. And it felt a little bit intimidating because I was like, oh no, French horns and trumpets and things. And then I realized, I know this from somewhere. Is this the beginning of like a UK panel show? I know this music.
And then you had to find out from me later on what it was.
That it was...
I realized very quickly, and I was like, I know this. Holy shit!
It was Innocence Brown's Held High. And literally, like, there were people, like, carrying scepters, like the scepter and shield of our university. And, like, you know, I saw my course director, who's a very mild-mannered psychologist, like, in this huge, big, done-up robe where they had these incredible hats. And it really did feel like I was in the 1600s or something. And it was like... I was like, what's happening?
And you're just like, oh, the only thing that could make this better was if it was Finland and I was getting a doctorate.
When you get your PhD in Finland, you get a top hat and a sword. How great is that?
From the government.
I told my supervisor that, and he goes, you should do it in Finland. I was like, I'm not accepted in Finland, I'm accepted here. But anyway, we were saying, DC. So, yeah, I mean, and here's the thing is, I enjoyed Wonder Woman. It wasn't amazing. From a script writing and plot point of view.
I give it a C.
It wasn't, overwhelming. It wasn't like, it wasn't one of those movies that we saw and thought it would be, okay, but it was amazing, like What We Did in the Shadows. Or What We Do in the Shadows, I mean. But it was good. I enjoyed it. I know that a lot of people, like a lot of women, got a very deep meaning from it, and that's certainly great.
Yeah, a lot of people liked it. Brought extra context that the film did not have itself.
And that's fair, because we all do that.
Yeah, everyone brings context
that's
to a film.
That's what fandom is.
So, I'm not complaining about that.
But just like, it's just, everything's against us from the beginning. It's just, Ben Affleck looks like he doesn't want to be there, and Gal Gadot does look good, and the trailer kind of is more like, oh, you like Wonder Woman in the Amazons? Here's some more Wonder Woman in the Amazons.
What I find really baffling is, why is it...
the bad thing in open soda.
Why is it that Superman is really, really muscular and shit, even though because he's so strong, there's no way that he can exercise. But at the same time, Wonder Woman, who's in a very similar situation, is strong without being muscular or without being full on looking like an athlete. She looks like a very, very, very sort of stringy athlete. She's not doing a Henry Cavill thing. And
I would say that even though it's not canon in the Wonder Woman movie, it's because that she was designed as a golem, so she adheres to the Greco-Roman classic structure, body structure.
In the comic, then that's okay, but not in the film. And she's actually in a situation where she's had to actually learn to fight and everything. She was trained in it, so she should actually look more muscular than Superman. I've long maintained that Superman should be in a muscle suit. Because there's no reason for him to be strong, and it will hide his identity as Clark Kent pretty well.
Yeah, but here's the thing, is like you can be muscular in a lot of different ways. Like, I had a friend back in the day who she was a black belt. She was like, had been almost about to go pro tennis in uni. She was one of those people that did everything. She spoke fluent Japanese. She was like, she was like a world-class chef kind of cook. Like, everything she did, she excelled at, but she was really humble and a really great person, too. And we were the same height, and I was quite overweight then. We were the same weight, and she was a size 4, and I was a size billion. But the thing is, she was all muscle, but you wouldn't know it just to look at her. And I think depending on what you do, what kind of training you do, your muscles are expressed in different ways.
Yeah, but this is you coming up with explanations for what is on screen, rather than thinking about why they put it on screen. Like, they're...
Because she's agile.
The makers... she's strong and she kicks the shit out of stuff.
She's also a demigod.
Batman's the agile one. Wonder Woman is strong as fuck.
Batman's inflated.
Yes.
Batman's only agile because he has strings.
Batman's incredibly inflated, ridiculously so as well. He's meant to be a fucking ninja.
Yeah, that's true.
Out of the three big ones from the Justice League, Batman, Superman, Wonder Woman's the one who should have the biggest muscles. And the reason that they don't have it like that is because either they're worried, or they're rightfully worried, or whatever, that having a severely muscular woman would be a detriment to the film, and people would be less likely to go to see it. It's almost as though no one saw Linda Hamilton in Terminator 2, because she was fucking built.
Well, I maintain that different training makes you muscular in different ways.
Well,
for some reason, I have freakishly huge calf muscles. I don't know how this happened.
Yeah, they do, and she's just been trained in such a way that she looks indistinguishable from someone who's not been trained. She can do all the action stuff in the thing, and that takes a lot out of you. So obviously, she is muscular in certain ways. She just doesn't look it.
Fair enough. And then you have like Cyborg, and nobody has any idea who he. Like I have never heard of this character before.
I have.
I think I recognize his design from the few episodes of Teen Titans I've seen.
He was in Teen Titans, yes.
Let me tell you. Have I spoken on the show about how much I hate Teen Titans and why?
You probably have. There's been a lot of episodes. There's 120 hours worth.
If you don't know, I hate Teen Titans. And before we be like, oh my god, let me tell you why. I'll set the scene for you. It's 2005. Okay, no, it's late 2004.
Or before you were born, to some of our younger
people.
Shut
up, I know. Oh, it's terrible. So anyway, it's going to be my 25th birthday, the first week of 2005.
You're older than that.
Huh? No.
I was trying to make a really silly joke about you saying that you're 25 now.
Oh.
And that did not come off at all.
Okay, I
apologize.
I thought you were saying that I didn't know how old I was. Like, of course I know how old I am. But anyway, so 3 months in advance, I said to a friend of mine, who she and her roommate that she's now there to... It's complicated. And their other roommate lived in a actually really nice 3-story house in West Philadelphia that her mother was the real estate manager for and technically owned. And I said, look, I want to have my 25th birthday party at your house. But if that's not cool with you, because I had a very small flat at the time, if that's not cool with you, let me know and I'll, see if somebody else wants to host. It's really important to me. It's a quarter century. And she goes, no, that's fine. That's a great idea. Cool. And then, like, around Christmas, it's, are you sure you're still okay with it? She's like, yeah, no, that's fine. So a week ahead, I'm like, okay, well, I'm opening up the shop, and then I'm going to be there till 5. I'm going to get some food, I'm going to bring some wine, I'm going to come over, it's going to be great. She's like, oh, okay, yeah. So I get there. I have worked an 8-hour shift. But, like, I forgot what I got. Some kind of, like, hors d'oeuvre platter, and I got 3 bottles of wine. And I show up an hour early before I told everyone to show up. And, knock on the door, and she answered the door in her pajamas, and it's dark inside. I was like, hey, whoa, are you okay? She's like, yeah, I guess you better come in. I'm like, okay, so I come in, and she and her roommates are sitting in the dark on the couch watching a Teen Titans marathon. And I was like, okay, well, they're just chilling out. I did say that I would come early. I said, do you want me to help you, like, clean up or anything? No. And so people started arriving, and the lights were never turned on. And we all just kind of sat around for another hour and a half in the dark watching Teen Titans. And so finally, he was sort of saying, hey, the little hors d'oeuvre platter you brought us all gone. Is there any food? And my friend was like, no. And this is the friend who was like, don't worry about food. I'm going to make a whole bunch of stuff. I was like, all right, well, so we ended up walking to Wawa. And if you're from, like, Philadelphia or the East Coast, Wawa is like a convenience store. But they do their own fresh sandwiches, and they have their own dairy. So they're fantastic. Look them up. So we got some food and we brought it back. And at that point, they put on... What's that Japanese zombie movie with Guitar Wolf in it?
Wild Zero.
They put on Wild Zero. And then she and him went out to get wings. And they were out for like 2 hours. And Wild Zero, because this was back in the early days of DVD, where if you didn't do anything to the menu, it would just start playing the movie, start it over. Because their TV was really complicated. We didn't know how to make it stop. And they finally came back, ate their wings, started playing Hero Clicks on the dining room table. Nobody opened the alcohol. No one felt comfortable going out to get more alcohol, except one friend of mine. And then she started loudly saying, gee, I wish everybody would clear out so I could go to bed. And so it was like, 11, and we all just kind of left. And a friend of mine called it the party that never contrived till it was over. So I drove home, started playing Snood on my computer, because yes, that's how old it was, Snood was still around, and drank a bottle of wine. And that is why I hate Teen Titans.
She also hates Wild Zero. Well, it's not Wild Zero's fault.
Actually, I really did enjoy Wild Zero, quite honestly.
Okay, good, because I am hoping...
There's no gender in rock and roll!
I am hoping to do a crossover on that with Apollo Z Hack, because he hates it.
Apollo Z Hack. But yes, that's why I hate Teen Titans. So yeah, so I have no idea who Cyborg is. I like that even Alfred was like, and who are you? Oh, sorry, are you in the Justice League? No one knows who the fuck you are.
Yeah, the trailers do indicate that they're expecting that everyone should know who Cyborg is.
Look, everyone, it's Cyborg!
Even though he's never been on live action before, I don't think. Maybe
and
on
the
TV.
Flash is 12. Why is the Flash 12?
Where the fuck did he get that really ornate-looking armor from?
Now, the electricity, I asked Charlotte and Garvin about this. I said, is it the implication that he's moving so fast that he's like, displacing, atomic charge? And she told me today, no, it's because he got struck by lightning and that's why he got his power. So I'm guessing that they're going to be have lightning shooting everywhere because of him. And I'm like, oh. It'd be really cool if he was actually moving so fast that he displaced electrons. That would have been really
The
neat.
Flash actually goes faster than that, according to canon.
Well.
The Flash is faster than Quicksilver, although movie Quicksilver, especially in the X-Men movies, is way faster than comics Quicksilver.
I mean, you got Jason Momoa being like, look at my pecs. Are you looking? Look again. Pecs. But, I just can't care. It's not really made clear. There's a lot of, action scene and, things and stuff, but I'm not really sure who they're fighting or why and what the big threat is. In Wonder Woman, obviously, the Germans are going to be the bad guys,
Here is bad guy CGI version of Kieran Hines. We have no context for who he is. It's a bit like if Avengers had, instead of using Loki as the villain, if they'd started off with Thanos. And people had no idea. And so all these shots of him in the trailer talking about how awesome he is when you have no context for him. The Avengers was very smart in using Loki because he was popular.
Who was the bad guy at the end of Batman v Superman? The
Doomsday.
Okay. It was kind of like, they're like, oh, look, it's this big bad guy that just suddenly appeared because whatever. I know that there was a lot that was cut. There were a lot of deleted scenes cut out where Lex Luthor goes into the ship and, does a lot more stuff.
I watched the extended cut of Batman v Superman.
Does it make a difference?
No.
Oh. But, it's like, look, it's the bad guy. It was kind of like, it felt like a mini-boss. It felt like that part in Lord of the Rings where the cave troll shows up. And no, a slightly harder fight. Okay. And he did look like a cave troll, too.
He did. Doomsday in the comic does not look like a cave troll. They deliberately made him look more generic for the movie. It was crazy.
Troll in the dungeon.
And it should have been Batman who died in Batman vs Superman.
Yeah.
His whole arc worked towards that.
Because he's mortal.
Yeah, plus he's the one who's been being a de facto villain for most of the film.
He's been being a dick.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. Ben Affleck, and someone pointed this out in screenshots from the panel. Even when he's supposed to be happy and cheerful, he just looks dead inside. I don't know if he's actually is suffering from some kind of, depression or mental illness, or he's just so done with all of this, he doesn't care anymore. But he looks like he's not having fun. He just...
Ben Affleck's a big comic fan. He was friends with Kevin Smith.
Yeah.
The reason he did Daredevil is because he's a comics fan. It's
that's unfortunate.
Why he ended up so done with it is a bit sad, really.
Yeah, and then there's the bit at the end where, you see Alfred looking up and saying, oh, it's you. I was wondering when you'd turn up. Well, you'd better go help them. It's Superman.
Yeah.
Superman comes back from the dead.
Either that or it's Green Lantern.
Oh,
because there is rumors that Green Lantern is the surprise reveal for this one.
Actually, probably Derek the Bard cares. He really likes Green Lantern.
Kyle probably cares too, because
like
Owen Citizen refers to the planet of Citizen of Oa.
Oh.
Oa being the planet where the Green Lanterns come from.
Did he know that on purpose or was it an accident?
Yeah. He was a fan of Green. He took the name Owen Citizen as a reference to Green
I
Lantern.
remember having like a Skype conversation with you about that, like back when we like really first met. But then I couldn't remember if you said that you asked him and he said it was a reference to something else or something like that.
I don't think so.
I don't know. Kyle, if you're listening right, actually no, never mind. I'll just tweet at you. But yeah. So I just it just looks so and the humor seems forced, and that's terrible because I really wish the people who did the animated series could be some of the writers, because there was humor in that. There were puns in that. There was moments of levity.
DC is traditionally the lighter of the two big comics things.
I was saying this to Johnny. I was like, what the hell happened? You know, like, and I said, but you have Marvel, and Marvel's supposed to be like the gritty, real life, you know, people, if they were superheroes kind of thing. Like,
not quite gritty, but definitely more realistic, especially. The DC
like
is...
real people, real problems kind of thing?
Yeah, DC is basically lighter, fluffier, sort of Greek gods, sort of having big events and doing big adventures, while Marvel was more like a soap opera crossed with comics.
Okay, fair enough. But, like, how is it that Marvel can convey such pathos, but then still be so fun? Like, Guardians of the Galaxy 2. Like, there was a bit at the end, and if you haven't seen it, I will not spoil it for you, where there was a quite emotional scene that would have been emotional, regardless of context, that was set over one of my favorite Cat Stevens songs. And they did the thing that I said that Suicide Squad should have done. If you have the rights, and believe me, Cat Stevens, also known as Yusuf Islam, does not give his rights away, you know, for nothing. Like, they wanted to use the same song in Moulin Rouge, but he didn't. He said he wouldn't agree to the rights because he felt that it was inappropriate and immoral, the context they were using it in. So you got to know that they said, this is how we're going to use your song, you know, because he has to. It's one of his clauses. He has to have moral sign off. And yeah, sure, that's great. But in something as silly as Guardians of the Galaxy, where you have a baby tree and a talking alcoholic raccoon, the fact that I was in tears, that you have that kind of juxtaposition, and Marvel is able to do that in a fun way, you know?
Well, Marvel and DC,
It's like, I'm an Apple, I'm a PC, I'm Marvel, I'm DC.
I'm pretty sure people have done parodies of that on YouTube.
I'm guaranteed there's 15 at least.
But both of them were sort of slaves to the first film, which set the mold for those films. Iron Man set the mold for what the Marvel Cinematic Universe would be, where it would be semi-realistic, slightly light, quippy.
Our savior Robert Downey Jr.
You know, so
God, I remember when he was getting arrested like every other month. Like, he was toxic. Nobody would touch him.
Then Marvel did.
And I remember hearing he got cast as Iron Man and thinking, that'll last. He's gonna, do 17 drugs on set? But, hey, you know, he got sober and, you know.
Well, and then after that, every single MCU film, to one degree or another, has basically done the same sort of thing as Iron Man. It's the mold thing. It's very hard it would be much hard if they were all very different. If, for instance, one MCU film was, say, like Netflix's version of Daredevil and had a guy being decapitated with a car door, it would be really hard to mix that in a film, characters, you know, in the Avengers. Mm-hmm. It would be really hard to have that character in the thing because it would be very disjointed and cognitive dissonancy in the audience. I don't think it's impossible, it would just be pretty hard. So Marvel has kept the same basic mold for all of their feature films. DC did the same thing. Of course, they started out with Zack Snyder trying to make Superman into Batman. And that was a terrible place to start.
Patooey.
What they really should have done is had start off with Christopher Nolan's Batman. Although Christopher Nolan's Man of Steel is basically trying to Nolanify Superman. If they start off with Christopher Nolan's Batman as their basic universe, they could have just done a Superman, done a Green Lantern, whatever, just roughly make it semi-realistic, get it in there. And then when Batman turns up, just make it Joseph Gordon-Levitt and never mention Bruce Wayne. Or get Christian Bale back, just, you know, drive a dump truck full of money to his house.
Mr. Bale.
Or, you know...
Please don't scream at us.
And there's the other main problem with the DC one. The Ben Affleck problem. Ben Affleck, they deliberately wanted to go for an older Batman because it was something new and interesting.
Oh, for Christ's sake, bring George Clooney back.
But the problem with this is, it means that they limit their amount of time they can have with Batman. So, and of course you got this compounded by the fact that Affleck wants to leave. So they're stuck with an older Batman. Everyone else is getting older. Batman's going to get older and older and older.
And a Joker everyone hates.
And they'll have to replace the actor or whatever. It was just a terrible, terrible fucking idea. It was a bit like MCU's huge misstep by casting Edward Norton as the Hulk. Because Norton is infamous for taking control of stuff when Marvel, it's constructed like a TV show.
And Mark Ruffalo, though, he's just so great. He's just so great. Like, I followed him on Twitter, but he tweets a lot, like, an insane amount of environmental links, or at least he did back in the day, and I was like, this is too much, it's flooding my page. But, like, I love him, I think he's great, and just the trailer for Ragnarok, the new one that's come out, it's just so great. Like, just see him and Thor palling around is the kind of thing that I really wanted, like, a buddy science movie with him and Tony Stark being science bros. But I'll take this one. I'll take this. You know?
But if you're going to do the old Batman thing, I mean, they're coming off a Superman movie that people didn't like. It was way too grim and gritty for Superman. And then you're making Batman a main character in the sequel, and you're going to try to overpower Superman. And then you're making him old. One of their biggest mistakes was not getting Keaton back. Because if you're making it as part of a plot thing that he's old Batman, bring a bunch of already created goodwill by having an older Batman back. Because you know how it is a huge...
Well, bring back Keaton with Nightwing.
Yeah. It's a huge fucking deal when you have the multi-doctor stories, or you have, where you have the older Doctor time, when people get really excited. You could create that sort of thing by having Keaton. And then you can do something completely new for the films with him, and have him retire as Batman. Have him do a Batman Beyond type thing.
Yeah.
Where you've got him advising the younger Batman.
That'd be pretty good. I'd watch that.
Yeah.
It's just, I don't know. I mean, but like what we saw.
But all of the DC films are in the same mold of Superman, Man of Steel, except for Wonder Woman. It cut it way down, and it was all the better for it.
Yeah, and understand, we're not slagging off Zack Snyder personally. We're not ad hominem him. It's just his work, and I completely understand that Justice League is gonna have some really irreconcilable problems just because he left the project with good reason, with very, very good reason, and Joss Whedon took over.
Something like 50% of it was directed by Joss Whedon.
It's gonna be a bit fractious, and we're accepting that off the bat.
Like my compare it to my suggestion. What would be like if Daredevil was one of the Avengers?
Wait, what was that? Wasn't it AI that was mostly done by Kubrick, and then Spielberg added bits that didn't make sense?
No, that was written and directed by Spielberg, based on huge notes done by Kubrick.
That's what I was thinking of.
But yeah, Justice League is going to be a mixture between Zack Snyder and Joss Whedon, and it is going to be weird watching. In the same sort of way, I imagine that Suicide Squad. That was between two different cuts. One that was
Suicide's now.
That would be
Brad,
really funny.
don't do it. You have so many State Farm meals to live for. State Farm, State Fair.
Suicide Squad was made of a darker cut and a silly cut, and they were basically, they put them together. And it was really weird, editing-wise. And they're going to have something similar in Justice League.
Starring the Enchantress and her invisible hula hoop.
And it's going to be similar with Justice League.
Meh.
And Zack Snyder just was not a good fit for any of this. I mean, his Watchmen was fine, his 300 was fine. Superman, terrible fucking hit. Standalone Batman film, maybe. Justice League, no.
And that's the thing I said, Johnny, I was like, why didn't they do what Marvel did? Start with each of these people and then build up to Justice League.
Because they ran out of time. Because by the time they realized that Marvel's was a winning strategy, that Marvel had already done the Avengers.
It was too late. Stan Lee was already teabagging each one of them.
So they just felt the need to rush, and
I like the taste of that. Excelsior.
And they kept fucking it up.
If you're Stan Lee, write the show. We're very sorry about your wife, sir. But if you're Stan Lee, write the show. But I don't want to go all spoilers, because I know that probably only a small portion of people might be able to have seen the Infinity War trailer, and it was like basically filmed on a phone between two people's heads.
Yeah.
But oh my god, I feel bad for the people who work at San Diego Comic-Con, who had to go in and clean up the floor after that. Because I think I like just got out of the shower and I was getting ready to go to work, and she's like, look at this. And I was like, what? Oh, wow. Jesus, look at that. Hey, it's gotta wait, don't go. And I was like, when's it coming out? Never.
Next year.
Yeah, well. We get Ragnarok in November, right?
Yep.
And then
Actually, end of October for us, I think.
we get Black Panther next year.
May-ish next year,
okay.
and then Avengers is midsummer.
So that's going to be the summer blockbuster.
Yeah, and then November next year, I think, is Ant-Man and the Wasp.
I don't want to watch it.
Why?
Because they're going to show real wasps in it.
I don't know why.
She'll probably hang out with them. You know she will. It's symbolism and stuff.
Well, I'm going to go see Ant-Man vs. the Wasp.
Who's directing it?
Same guy did Ant-Man 1.
I don't know who that is.
Peyton Reed.
Is he on Twitter?
I don't know.
I'll tweet at him and find out. But, like, is there a trigger warning for wasps? Because I need to know this information. Are you going to have close-ups of real wasps that's going to have me, like, waking up, like, itching in the night? Because this is information I need. Yeah. I actually can say that I do have PTSD.
Okay.
Over wasp. Well, it's just it's the most mild form. It's a proto-memory phobia. Here's a really cool thing. Okay, psychology time. Here's a really cool thing. Your episodic memory retention starts at various stages in your toddler development, depending on several factors. A lot of them are biological, depend on socioeconomic status, their genetic, nutritional, that kind of stuff. But you can retain some bits of information. I call it proto-memory. I need to talk to my supervisor about these theories because I want to see if anyone else has done research on this. That, you can retain some stuff, like, for example, a song that your mother might have sung to you every day when she put you down for a nap when you were an infant. You might have vague recollection of that. An affinity for a specific color because when you were 8 months old, it was your little fuzzy blanket's color. Stuff like that. You can also have aversions to things, like, you happened to get a stomach bug when you were 1 year old. The same weekend you had watermelon for the first time, and you have an aversion to watermelon. You just don't like it. It grosses you out, but you don't know why. So that information is retained by the brain, and you can't always retrieve it on command. That's like a lot of those, like, whoa, so spooky, how could it ever happen threads on Reddit about, like, my little toddler said, there's this man that comes and talks to me. What does he look like? And they described my grandfather who died when he was a baby, and there's only ever been a picture in the hall. How could he know? Because he retained the memory of the image of that man. It's like, it's just pretty cool, so you can, like, debunk that kind of stuff. So, when I was about between 1.5 and 2, my grandmother was minding me for the day, and she was gardening. This was in Ridley Park, Pennsylvania, and I was noodling around in the garden, and she dug into an underground wasp nest, and they came out and started swarming her, and she panicked.
Why would their wasps' nest be underground?
The big black ones, some of them go underground.
Your country is freaky.
Yeah, well, this is true. This is very true. I readily admit this. We have a species of insect, the cicada, that, like, germinates for 17 years underground and then comes out.
I'm not sure if germinate's the right word.
It just hangs out down there. I don't know what's up.
Underground wasp nest, that makes no sense. That's some phase 4 shit. They were planning that.
Yeah, well. But anyway, so they swarmed my grandmother, who panicked, and she has an enclosed porch. Took me, basically, tossed me onto the porch and slammed the door. As they were swarming her and stinging her. I was not stung. Now, I have no memory of this incident taking place. However, about 2 years later, when I was around 4, I was playing outside in my grandmother's yard, and I saw a big North American black wasp sitting on the wall outside. And I looked at it, and I can't even describe the feeling that came over. I'd never felt anything like that before. And I went inside. I was very shaken and very quiet. And my mom said, because she was having coffee with my grandmother, she goes, I thought you wanted to play outside. I said, I did, but then I saw the animal that scares me. Because I didn't have a separate word for insect at that time. Because I didn't have enough taxonomy to say, this is an insect, this is a bug, all bugs will look like this, there's different, I didn't have that categorization yet. And my mom said, what kind of animal? Tell me what it looked like, because she thought maybe there's a raccoon or a possum or something that might be rabid in the yard. And I said, you know, and I didn't have words for stinger or abdomen or thorax. I said, you know, the one with the big butt. And they started laughing because they thought that I was, you know, taking the hands and, like, being a little kid and stuff like that. Like, oh, well, go out and play. And I had this realization. We were talking about phobias and proto-memory when I was in uni. And I realized that my proto-memory had retained the shape of the thing that caused panic. Because little kids will pick up on your panic. If you're panicking about something, if you're upset about something, little kids pick up on that because they're social mirroring. Oh, no. Mom's upset about something. I'm getting upset too. I don't really understand why, but Mom's upset. Everything's falling apart. I don't understand, but I'm upset too. So my social mirroring of my grandmother's panic imprinted itself in my brain, in my neural network, that I saw the shape of that thing, that evolutionarily my brain saying, no, remember, it's terrible. It caused the panic before. You are in threat. You are in danger. Remove yourself from the situation. This thing is dangerous. And I have a lifelong phobia of wasps.
She is much better at talking about subjects in great detail than I am.
I'm a psychologist. Like, I really, like, legally, I am now. But no, that's a really cool thing, so if you stuck with me for that whole story.
Compare and contrast Omega telling the story and me trying to really crappily talk about the problems of DC and connect it with the MCU and all, okay? Because I'm shit at it. There's a reason I don't do vlogs by myself.
That's true, because you oftentimes think a lot faster than you can talk.
Yeah, and then I get sort of stuttery and things like that. I probably have a very low-level speech impediment.
Yeah, it might be. That might be the case.
Okay, just very, very, very low level.
Yeah, that's not happen sometimes.
But let's talk about something else, something which I have not rung it up her flagpole to see if she salutes it.
Oh, that sounds vaguely dirty. Continue.
No. I watched 4 filthy McNasty films. She
I only
watched one.
Oh my god.
A fan suggested I watch Filthy McNasty, and they're like, "There's gotta be on YouTube." And I decided I would buy copies on DVD because I'm hardcore. And so we watched the first one together. I was like, "Well, the trailer looks like a Kevin Strange film, but not as good." And when I tweeted this out, Kevin Strange is like, "Actually, these films inspired my filmmaking. He's better than I am." And Kevin, if
Paris Hell was better.
Kevin, if you're watching this, you're better than Chris Seaver. Sorry. But,
although the makeup was good.
Yeah. So I've watched... okay, explain what the first one was.
Okay. So this is like the further adventures of like people who I don't think at the time that they made the film had ever drank or taken drugs. It's like that thing with like Kevin Smith is not Kevin Smith.
Strange.
Kevin Strange is always going on about Colombian smoke weed. But like I don't believe that you've ever smoked weed, because like all the people in the Kevin Strange are always like, let's get drunk, let's smoke weed, but then they don't really act like people who are drunk or high. Like it's just one of those things. I mean, if I'm wrong, Mr. Strange, then please set me right. But
I always took that as a stylistic choice.
Well.
You know,
but here's the thing, it's like if you're gonna, like, I mean, at least, it's like when you were at a LARP, okay, if you ever LARPed, and there's always the person who's like, oh, my character is drunk tonight, and they played drunk as if they were LARPing Daffy Duck. I've been drunk many times. I'm a varsity drinker. But I've never seen anyone be drunk, either in real life or on YouTube, in quite the same way that people who haven't ever been drunk think that drunk people are. Unless you're the child of an alcoholic, and then that's actually kind of sad, you know. Really like, oh, kind of way.
Anyway, with this one, these films are generally about an hour long each, and
they're about people not really selling their soul. People just kind of like getting involved with a demon because sex.
Because I want to be more attractive or whatever, and then demon's like, okay, I'll make you more attractive or whatever, and then the demon comes and kills all their friends at a party, which happens in all 4 of these films.
Yeah.
Although halfway through they replace the demon. Well, that's probably
so
important.
Unprofessional.
And the demon in the 3rd and 4th one, they've replaced the original demon, you know, Filthy McNasty, the actual demon, Filthy McNasty, that was the name of the demon.
Oh, I get it.
With a female demon called D'Artagnan, who
D'Artagnan is a male thing.
I know. I don't care.
What if it's not? What if that's the whole thing about the Three Musketeers, that D'Artagnan was trans? Oh no.
But the same basic plot happens 4 times, and I've been watching Chris Seaver's other stuff. It is like watching this whole treasure trove of Kevin Strange-like films that I didn't know existed.
All shot in someone's apartment.
But none of them are as good as Kevin Strange, or at least, or as unique as Kevin Strange's. But they're perfectly interesting, and there's a bunch of his films are on YouTube. There's Taint Lights, The Quest for the Egg Salad. There's those Filthy McNasty ones. All 4 of them are on YouTube. There's the 2 Mulva films, which I've not watched yet.
There was like a character, and we couldn't tell if they were racist or not.
Oh, Teen Ape.
Yeah. Teen Ape, I'm thinking is probably a parody of Teen Wolf.
Yep.
But, like, so the person playing Teen Ape is a white person wearing an ape mask and gloves. But who portrays the character like
Rick James.
Yeah. So I'm like, is this racist? Or isn't it? I can't tell. I'm not sure.
Oh, Teen Ape's one of their regular characters. He turns up in a couple of filthy ones. There's also several of his own films where, like, fights the Nazis and goes to camp and whatever.
There's also, like, a lot of, like, sex having that, like, I don't think people actually sex have in that way. Like, I'm not saying that some of the actors were virgins. I don't know.
Well, the 4th one, the main character who wants to be more attractive is this woman whose entire job in a school is to teach kids sex ed. Like, teach teenagers sex ed.
But see, the thing is that the sex ed teacher is always the most unsexual.
And so she decides to become all attractive, but then she has multiple classes with the same people on sex, as though sex ed is an actual class that is done as part of the regular curriculum over the course of the year.
Well, yeah.
As
it is.
That's not the way it was done over here.
Well, okay. Well, in my school district, you had the talk in 5th grade, and that was like an hour. And then from 6th grade on, like, you had a health class every year. Well, and it was always different things. Like 6th grade, it was a lot of stuff about eating disorders and drugs.
This one's not like that. This is
and
literal.
then like 7th grade was sex ed, and then 8th grade was healthy choices. But like every other year was a concentration on why you should probably never touch your genitals or the genitals of someone else.
Well, this one, it's every single. They have multiple classes just on sex, which strikes me as a little bit unlikely.
Well, we had to learn all the bits and the bots of everybody else, like all the little, like, spigots and stuff involved in guys. Like, I don't remember a lot of them. I remember there's something called the vas deferens, which sounds like it should be like, you know, like the Glenshane Pass. Yeah. Like, my lord, shall we head them off? No. Let them get as far as the vas deferens. The reinforcements will be there, and we'll flank them from both sides. Yes, my lord. Somebody really wants to get in contact with you.
Anyway, this teacher wants to be all sexy and stuff, and then she starts telling her students that she's going to seduce them and have sex with them, but then she sort of...
In a way that's so legal, of course.
Yeah, and then she feeds them to the demons.
It's like the scene in The Meaning of Life, when John Cleese has sex ed.
Yeah. So he then feeds it to...
I introduce you to my wife. Ready to? Okay.
She feeds them to the demons, and then, of course, they... Farad Muhammad, who played, he turned up in my Judges of Turner review. A guy who basically looks and acts like him, is a Viking and turns up with Mjolnir and starts dance fighting people to murder. And then one of the demons is finally, because the 2 female demons, they grow 10-foot cocks in order to, you know, fuck people to death, because as you do. Yeah. And they grab one of the cocks and they tape its head closed, and then they keep masturbating it until the cum sort of comes out of her brain. You know, so it sort of backs up and explodes out of her mouth.
Like happens.
You know, so, you know, clearly high
art.
Do
they make a vagina into a bi-monthly money train?
Oh, they should.
A bi-monthly money train. That'll be funny in, how many episodes next season?
The episode that's coming out in about a week or so, that is Hellbinders. The one after that is End of the Wicked. That's when bi-monthly money train
should my vagina into a bi-monthly money train.
That should become a meme.
It has to be. What? Like, we Googled it. And it wasn't, like, why is this not a thing?
Yeah, I want you to turn my daughter-in-law's womb into a bi-monthly money train.
Like, I thought it was one of those things that you see shared on Facebook, like, you know, it's money bags. That means there's 4 Fridays this month, like there is every month. Share this to get, like, untold wealth and jade frogs and crack and ancient Chinese Egyptians and, you know.
And, yeah, we Googled the term, and we cannot find anything that makes any sense. So, you know, naturally, I assume that it's connected to the Wesley Snipes and Woody Harrelson film Money Train.
It's the way that she says it though, it's so you'll see it in a month or so, 2 months.
Just over a month.
Okay.
You should. I mean, that episode is
prime
nearly
yourselves
finished.
now, everybody.
It's nearly finished. I gotta get the to camera bits. I'm working on it.
We're getting there. But yeah. And you know what it reminded me of, though? It reminded me of, there's a VHS out there somewhere, if it hasn't been destroyed, because there were a few copies, of stuff we did with my friend's camcorder. And I was in high school. We called it the Major Motion Picture. We did, like, all this great stuff. Like, one bit of it, we didn't realize that, like, Lauren Burtnick had turned on the camera. And, like, maybe was driving somewhere at night. And so it was, like, basically, like, the almost dark night sky with, like, trees going past because you're looking up in the car. And, like, she was quietly singing the Batman the Animated Series theme. Yeah, there was just that for a bit. There was, like, this reoccurring theme where, like, the superintendent of our high school, Mr. Bitchner, was a secret spy. We did this... For some reason, we all had puppets, and we did a lip-sync version of 45 Seconds of Ecstasy from the Meatloaf album, Welcome to the Neighborhood, and also a puppet lip-sync version of I Can Change from the South Park movie soundtrack. It was just really great. But, like, you know, there was no production level. It was all us fucking around. But, like, I mean, as much as I slag off other, you know, oh, it's so low budget. Oh, it's all in someone's basement. I would give anything to see that again. The Major Motion Picture. It was so good. But
You could review them.
Oh my god, no. It was my friend Bill, and he was, like, all thin, and he had, like, this, like, very pectorally chest, and he comes out of the closet, like, just in his, you know, his boxers with his chest hair, and he's like, why did the chest hair lose? And he starts dancing, and it's just crazy shit.
I wouldn't really call that crazy, but it's more explicable. Why is only the chest hair loose?
It was a joke from our LARP, okay?
Okay.
There's a lot of, like, in-jokes like that, and then there's a bit where, like, it's such an obscure, like, that Tom Waits song, What's He Building in There? That was off of Mule Variations, which had just come out that year. For some reason, we were obsessed with that song. There's a bit, like, the very end of it is just me in, like, a recliner chair in May's basement, looking off in the distance, thoughtfully going, huh, so that's what he was building in there. Fascinating. And then I didn't realize we were going to do this. Everybody from off screen just pelted me with all the puppets and plushies and everything, and, like, the last second of it is, like, just me looking up at the camera, and then it just fades off, and it was good. It was really good. But anyway, I'm gonna get in trouble in the comments for never letting you talk.
I talked a lot earlier.
That's true. So we should probably end this shenanigans of an episode.
Yeah. Look up Chris Seaver on YouTube if you want to watch some of his films. There's this YouTube channel called Kings of Horror, and they've uploaded the entirety of a lot of horror films, both good, bad, and medium. That's more than both. Oh well. But I have no idea if there's some sort of a contract or not, but there's a lot of fucking films there. You can watch them, you can, you know, download them, you could put them on a disc and have sex with the disc somehow. There's lots of things you could do.
Lick the screen. But anyway, that's been episode 120. I have been the Omega Geek, and honey, who do you want to have been this week?
Teen Ape, clearly.
I don't know if it's racist.